All right, welcome Locust Hill family. We are thrilled that you're joining us today as we overview the first of our 1 Peter, 2 Peter series with our life groups. Many of our groups are shifting to explore the Bible, and so we want to help you to lead well and to be ready for the session. So I've got Jason here with me. We did the overview video, and you were able to watch that last week. If you haven't seen that, I encourage you to go back and watch that. Again, you'll see it on our Facebook page and YouTube. So that's all just setting up the series. So we're looking at lesson number 1. This will be on March 2nd. And so thrilled to have so many of our groups that are coming together for that. 1 and 2 Peter, again, we talked about this in the preview video. 1 Peter being all about those external pressures. 2 Peter, we're going to look at internal pressure. So all through the bulk of this, a lot of the time we're going to be in this series, we're spending in 1 Peter. And so external pressure, what does it look like then to navigate that? Trials, persecution, all those things. So let's just focus in on our key text. Before you read that, let me give you the key statement of the lesson for the adults is this: believers have a living hope that strengthens our faith and brings glory to Christ, all under the title, Our Inheritance. So you read the key text here.
Yeah, so the passage for lesson 1 is 1 Peter 1, 3 through 12, but the key scripture is verses 6 through 7, and that says, Peter says, "In this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold, that perishes though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ." And so when you think about that, as you dig deep into that narrative, think about those highlighted words: testing, trials, grieving. Not exactly words you're going to put at the top of the list of, this is what I want to talk about today. Right. It's nothing popular when we're going through testing, when we're going through trials. It's not a lot of conversation that wants to be had, but we acknowledge that life throws us trials, life throws us curveballs, and it throws us challenges. How do we respond? And that's exactly what Peter's talking about. Yep. Is how do we respond? And in the context of scripture that we find here, and you'll find in your lesson as we look at 1 Peter, we recognize this reality. Early Christians, early believers were experiencing all of these testing, all of these trials, all of this suffering. It was impacting their faith. And 1 Peter really powerfully reinforces the fact that the truth that suffering, while admittedly difficult, is entirely normal. And that's a key point to make sure people are aware of, that your suffering, your trials, it's normal for believers. Yep. It's normal for Christians, because our citizenship, as Will said last week, our citizenship is not here. Right. It's in a new heaven. It's in a new earth. And so the suffering that we experience here is no different than the suffering that Jesus experienced. Peter himself was qualified to share this message. And the context was right. The people were ready to hear this message from Peter. And that's what I love about this right off the bat first message is Peter was writing likely before his death. Shortly before his life was to be over, he's given a last message, a legacy type message to those believers. And Nero's intense persecution of Christians was beginning around AD 64. And that's about when Peter was writing this message.
Well, I definitely think he wrote it before his death.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So
he was alive.
Yeah. Keeping hope alive. That's the thing you're going to see all throughout the letter. How do we have hope when we're in the midst of hardship? And that's the real, story that happens in our life groups, that we get to share the real intersection of what does my life look like? How do I live out my faith when I'm going up against a hard time? And I'm grateful for life groups because that's where you get to share those stories. So here's some questions that just jump out. How do you keep hope alive when life throws so many curveballs your way? What's stealing your joy, your hope today? How's your faith being refined even right now? And then this question, how does the long story, the Old Testament prophets, all pointing to Christ, give you confidence today as you walk through a trial? So Peter is pointing the attention of believers ahead to their promised inheritance. That's what you just highlighted. Will highlighted last week that we're not home. This is not our home yet. So what I pray as we talk about our inheritance is that you guys are going to have a great conversation as we begin the journey. We're excited that we're going to walk through 1 Peter. It's going to be a great study together. It's impacting our real story, our real lives. And so we're praying for you as you begin the journey even this week.